Hi there, I'm Christine Dunbar from speechmodification.com, and this is my Smart American Accent Training. I got ahead of myself. Welcome to our Friday live class, where we talk about American English pronunciation and intonation, the American accent. I take your questions regarding these topics and try to give you resources to help you improve your personal and professional communication in American English. So the last few Fridays, we've been working on both taking questions and giving your answers, sharing resources, as well as we've started what I'm calling the SMART Goals Challenge, where we're looking at setting goals that you can achieve and the steps that you need to do that to improve. So we'll check in on that SMART Goals Challenge today and talk about some next steps. I'll show you some lessons and resources. And do feel free to ask your questions at any time. So if something's on your mind, if there's something you need help with, you can write that in the chat and I'm happy to answer that. If you're watching this not live, but as a rebroadcast, leave your questions in the comments because I do go back and answer those as well. And I get some great ideas from the questions that you ask me, so I love it when you participate because it tells me what other topics to cover in my classes and what new videos to make for you for the YouTube channel. So this week, we've been looking at a number of different topics here on our community page on YouTube. If you haven't checked that out yet, when you go to my channel page, Speech Modification Seattle, you'll see that I have a page, there's options here, and one of them is the community page. And each day I've been posting something new for you. So either it's a sneak preview of something I'm working on, a video that's coming up, or a class. It's a link to a lesson on my website that I think you'll find useful, or a quiz that helps you test your knowledge, and then usually I give resources with the answers to the quizzes. So one of the topics we talked about this week was the sound the letter X makes. We also were talking about some vowel sounds, and a typical topic for us, which always comes up, is how something is spelled versus how something is pronounced, because many times that's very challenging, as you know, in American English. So we'll talk about some of those topics later in the class today, as well as going through the SMART goals. Susan has a question for us. The difference between a consonant and a vowel. Very good. So we have consonant letters and vowel letters. So that's one difference where I won't write all the consonant letters. That would take me too long. But as you probably know, the vowel letters are A, E, I, O, and U. And then the consonants are all the others. But when we're talking about vowel sounds versus consonant sounds, the difference is that the consonant sounds have a place of articulation, a place and a manner of articulation. So what does that mean? Basically, that means that when I make a consonant, something that I use for articulation, either my tongue, my lips, my teeth, something is touching something else. So for example, the consonant P sound, I form that by closing my lips, building up air, and releasing it. Or the TH sound, I form that by placing my tongue between my teeth and blowing air over it. I can feel what's touching for those sounds. Even the R sound, I'm touching the tongue against the insides of the upper teeth, and it happens more near the middle to back of my mouth. So that's the place and the manner, what's happening in terms of things touching. But for vowels, nothing is touching. So basically, in terms of sounds, the definition of a vowel sound is that it's formed by the shape of my tongue and my mouth. So I have, for example, the high front vowels like E and I. Those were some that we looked at this week. Or I have the open back vowels like ah, or rounded vowels like O. For all of those, when I get oriented, I can start to feel what's happening with my mouth. But the only difference is the shape of the tongue, because the sound comes from the way the air is in my mouth. So when I say E, there's very little room in my mouth, and the resonance all happens up in the front, E, versus ah, my mouth is really open, my tongue is really down. And so that sounds that way because there's an open space for that vowel to resonate. So that might have been a longer explanation than you wanted, but basically consonant sounds have contact and vowel sounds have just tongue shape, no contact. Thanks for that question. I really like talking about that because that's one of the reasons that you need other ways to understand the vowel sounds, to be able to hear them, and also to learn kind of to picture the way your tongue looks and the shapes that your tongue makes and how open or closed your mouth is, so that you can correctly make those vowel sounds. Since you aren't, I can't tell you put your lips together or put your tongue behind your teeth to say t or l. The cues are different for the vowel sounds. Okay. Susan also asked, what is the closest vowel sound of I? Is it E, or A? Okay, so Susan's asking about these front vowels that I was mentioning. So here's my little diagram for how I like to show the vowels. And we have the I, which is a lax vowel, like in pink pig, and we have the E, which is the tense vowel, like in green tea. So those two are the closest in placement, E and I. My tongue only has to lower a little bit. And then A and my mouth is a little bit more open. So that's the vowel for gray day, and that's the vowel for red tent. So when I say E and A, those are both tense, and I'm opening more. I and those are both lax, more open and more closed. Technically, if you're measuring distance or closest in terms of how they sound, that's going to depend probably on your native language and the way you hear the vowels. Many people have challenges hearing the difference between E and I. That's true in a lot of languages. But Arabic speakers, for example, tend to have more of an issue with I versus pink pig and red tent, because that's the way their sound system in their brain interprets those sounds. Okay, a couple requests for pronunciation words. We have a drawer and embarrassing. Okay, drawer is super hard. So my pen's not working very well. I'm going to switch to blue. A drawer. First of all, the is going to be the schwa sound, just unstressed, sounds like and drawer is going to have the d and a front r, a back r, drawer, drawer. Basically, this is just like doing an r and then another r. So it's very similar to the word roar, just with a d in front of it, drawer. Now, I have heard some native speakers say something more like drawer, like with more of an ah vowel. I just use a plain or. So I would start for that word with the or sound. Even if that's difficult for you to say or, just start with and then try going from to or, or, roar, drawer. That's a great suggestion, and I think we need a video for this one too. It's almost as hard as rural, which is hard for me too. And I recently made a video for you about rural. I would say drawer has a similar technique. If you start in with getting your strong sound and then build from there, that's going to be your best approach. Another question for embarrassing. I do actually already have a video for embarrassing. So I'm going to use this as an opportunity to show you how to look that up. If I'm on the channel page for speech modification, if I go to the home page, if I'm on my desktop, there's a search box and you can write in your word. You can also look for it here on speechmodification.com. Let's see if I have the video on the website as well. And I will tell you how to pronounce it. You don't have to wait. But when you're on speech modification, go to free practice, online practice free trial. And you can use that search box there. There's my SMART Goals Challenge. I'm just going to type in the word embarrass. I made a typo, so it wasn't coming up with it. Embarrassing. And I'll search, and I'll see if there's any related videos or resources. It should come up. Yes. Okay, so there's the word that's talking about an embarrassing situation. So the video might not be on my website. Oh yeah, there it is. How to pronounce embarrass. The other thing that you can do is if you're searching and you don't find your answer on my YouTube channel or on speech modification, leave a comment and I'd be happy to make a video for you. So here's the video about how to pronounce embarrass. And now I'll just tell you. So embarrassing, 3 syllables. Embarrassing with second syllable stress. So this first and last syllables are short and unstressed. Embarrassing. And even though it's spelled with an E, we use the pink pig vowel in this word because it's unstressed. So I have bear. So I'm writing it as the word air because that's what you need to think about when you're saying embarrassing. And then I think we have either an I or a schwa, an unstressed vowel there. Embarrassing. 4 syllables, not 3. Embarrassing. Yeah, okay. So again, start with your for the stress syllable, the and then try air and bear, and then embarrass, and then lastly embarrassing. Try to lengthen, and it's great in this word that the stressed syllable has the bear sound because it gives you extra time to form your air vowel. Embarrassing, and then make sure you're light and quick on the other syllables. And if you need a better explanation than that, I'm sure I did a better job in my video about how to pronounce embarrass. And I know I talk about embarrassing and embarrassed as well in that video. Thank you for your question. Hi, Mary. Susan says, I'm a Spanish speaker. If I say vowel A, but without tense lips and more relaxed, is the resulting sound I? Someone told me that. Is it correct? It might be. I would have to hear how you say that to know. In my opinion, if you say the A more relaxed, you're going to get more of an eh. So if you say the Spanish A in a relaxed way, you're going to get the red 10th vowel because both of those are a central vowel. If I say American A versus my mouth is the same, pretty much in the same position, and it's just a tense versus lax tongue. So I would say try the Spanish E, but relax into the I. And I have a number of videos looking at the E versus I, including a recent video that was uploaded, I think, last week, talking about specific words like sheet. But it also gives you some references for other vowel sounds. And what I would say is that you probably are saying this vowel correctly in some words. So look at my video for vowel I and try words like did and different and didn't, because usually in those D words like didn't, it's easier to make the I correct because the D position is close to the I position. Didn't, different, etc. And then when you build that, then you can begin to make a contrast. I also suggest looking at my videos that have words like eat versus it, eat and it, so that you can start to feel the tense versus lax distinction, because both of these are high front vowels. So that's probably the way I would teach you. Now, for other people, maybe if they start with the A, they get the correct I vowel, but the A is more open and you would have to raise your tongue as well as making it lax. Great question. That's going to help a lot of people. So thank you for asking. Susan says, similar question. If I say vowel oo, but without trying to round my lips and more relaxed, is the resulting vowel ugh. So she's now asking about the oo vowel and the vowel. So this is the new shoe vowel that sounds like ooh, and this is the good book vowel that's also in words like push and put. And it's sometimes also spelled oo, but it doesn't sound like ooh. And then in this case, yes, these are very similar in position, although still does have rounded lips. They're just more relaxed. So if you look at my lips when I say ooh or shoe, my lips are very tense and very closed, versus when I say good or book, I still have rounding, but my tongue is a little bit further down, it's lax, and my lips are more relaxed. For this one, I recommend starting with words like push and should, because you might have an okay or closer to like vowel in these words, and should and push. The sh naturally has the right amount of lip rounding for the sound. So for many people, that's a good place to start with that vowel. Again, I have a video talking about, look for my video for vowel and that will help you walk you through this process. So yes, we've been working a lot this week on the community page and on my Facebook page, looking at these vowel contrasts in terms of what words they have. And I do have a lot of videos kind of helping you listen to and hear that distinction, which is challenging because our accent acts as a filter on what we hear as well as how we speak. Great questions. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about the SMART Goals Challenge. And I wanted to just check in on how we're doing. So far we talked about how SMART goals are specific, that's the S, and meaningful, that's the M. And today I want to talk about the A, which is that our SMART goals need to be achievable. And what I mean by achievable is I want to pick a goal that's something I'm actually going to meet within a reasonable amount of time. And when we talked about specific and meaningful, we talked about having a big goal like improving pronunciation, not having an accent, or being well understood. Those are all great goals. And I'm not saying you shouldn't have that goal, but you need to take some steps along the way, and you need to be achieving those goals and setting a new goal, or you're not going to feel like you're making any progress. And you may also not be making as much progress. You won't be able to tell because you haven't necessarily been able to measure it or to see. And so I've been doing the SMART Challenge along with you guys. I've been working on a big goal of becoming a better singer. And my specific, meaningful short-term goal was 30 minutes of practice a week. And so for me, I also had achievable in mind when I chose that, because I looked at how much I was practicing, and sometimes I was practicing 0 minutes. Other weeks I was practicing 60 minutes or 2 hours, but I needed something that I knew I could achieve, but that would be a way for me to be specifically saying, I'm going to do this much. And so I've been taking data and writing down my practice. And again, some days I'm doing almost 30 minutes in one day. And then there's other days when I haven't had time, or I don't prioritize it and I don't do it. But this has really been helping me notice and say, oh, I haven't practiced in a couple of days and I have this goal of 30 minutes a week. I better do some practice now, and I better do some practice today. But I have noticed now in 10 days of the challenge that I've met the goal and exceeded the goal. And so it's time for me to set a new goal. So if I achieve that goal, maybe I'm going to maintain it. Maybe I'm just going to say, this is all I can manage, and I'm going to just keeping track, and 30 minutes is the right amount for me. Maybe I would have had a lot of zeros here. There's going to definitely be some weeks when that wouldn't work for me. And so then I'm going to just go back and write a new goal and say, okay, 15 minutes a week. Let's see if I can consistently meet that goal, and then I can work my way back up. And I try to look at that and say, this isn't a judgment. This is just data. This tells me this original goal wasn't achievable and I need to set a different one. And rather than feeling defeated about it, I'm going to use that to help me and to motivate me. Okay, well then it's still reasonable to say I'm going to practice once a week for 15 minutes, or 2 minutes a day, whatever it might be, something more achievable. Same thing happens if this goal is too simple. If I'm achieving it and meeting it pretty consistently, then I want to try to push myself a little further. So my new goal is to practice for 60 minutes a week. And to help me do that, next week we're going to talk about setting reminders, and also in future we'll talk about the last element of SMART, which is T for tell, how those things are going to help motivate us and help us achieve our goals. But I wanted to mention that to make something achievable, you should think about what you're already doing and what you're capable of doing. And so one of the things I did here was to write down some practice options. And I said to myself, okay, I can work with the piano, I can work with just my music, and I have a long list of things, different things that I can do that are going to help me increase from 30 to 60 minutes a week by adding additional things, keeping it interesting, mixing it up. And when it comes to speech practice, you can do the same thing. So you can do some watching a video, coming to class. You can do some practice on your own, listening and repeating. You can do some reading aloud. There are many, many different practice strategies I talk about in both my online courses and in my free resources on the website. So pick something and try it, see if it works for you. And you might also want to just sit down and write your own list. What am I currently doing? What things do I like doing? What things do I not like doing? And give yourself a variety of practice, some things that are easier, some things that are more challenging, so that you stay motivated and you keep doing different things. If you are a person who does exercise, you might notice that if you're a runner, for example, and you routinely run, yeah, that's pretty good exercise. But maybe you switch and you go for a bike ride, and then you're really sore and it's really hard. Doing a variety of different things is also going to improve the results that you get, both in terms of your speech practice and other goals that you might be setting. The other thing I wanted to mention, or I wanted to just ask, how have your 10 days of the SMART Goals Challenge been going? If you've been participating, did you choose that 30-minute-a-week goal? And have you been meeting that? Have you been keeping track? If not, don't feel bad. Just start now and sort of see, am I meeting that goal yet? Or do I need to adjust that and make that more achievable? So a couple of ways to make your goal achievable. I would suggest one thing is to pair it with something you already do. So either make it part of a routine, like every time I wash the dishes after dinner, I'm going to practice. I have clients who practice in the shower. It's a short time, but it gives them practice every day, a really good routine. Another one I really like is if you have a commute, if you drive to and from work in the car, there's some great things you can do for practice. And you don't have to do it for your whole commute. You can still enjoy listening to the radio or whatever else you like to do. But maybe for the first 5 minutes of the drive, you could do a little bit of speech practice. And so when you make it a routine and you pair it with another activity, that'll help you remember to do it, and it'll help you feel a little less like sometimes it's hard to add anything else to our routine. It's hard to add anything even when we really want to and we want to improve. But if we can fold it into something we're already doing, we're more likely to meet our goal and to be successful. So brainstorm for yourself some ideas for practice and for places and times that you can do it. And ask me questions, ask for support. I'll be happy to give you suggestions and point you to resources that will show you those different types of practice. Okay, I think that's enough for now on Achievable. I will have a lesson related to Achievable up on the website later this week. I think that's achievable for me. In the meantime, you have some suggestions and ideas from this video. And I'm going to get caught up on the questions in chat. So we had a question, which is there any difference when Americans say, my friends said, and my friend said? In terms of pronunciation, yes, Americans will say, my friends said. And they may make a little pause there so you can hear that they said friends versus friend said. Technically, the pronunciation of my friends has a voiced D sound. So my friends said. I'm supposed to do a Z and then an S versus my friend said. My friend said. There, I think I do more of a stopped D. And so there's also kind of a break. My friend said, my friends said. And here I definitely have to enunciate more to make sure that I get that Z and that S in there. You may hear people not really pronouncing this one correctly, and it may be hard to tell if they're saying my friend said, friends said, or my friend said. Listen for if you hear the D, my friends said, then you're more likely to be hearing the plural versus my friend said. We're more likely to kind of drop or stop that D sound and then go right from the N to the S. But I do think that this is a challenging thing to pronounce, and you probably are hearing Americans mispronouncing the first one, friends said. And so you may have to get clarification by asking them, did you, one friend or your friends? So great observation, thank you. Another question, is it true that when the Z is at the end of a thought group or sentence, like I like flowers, the Z becomes a soft S? Definitely at the ends of when my final Z word comes at the end of my phrase, I'm not saying I like flowers with a long stress Z, but I'm also not saying I like flowers. You can hear how if there's no voicing there, flowers, it sounds very prominent as an S versus flowers with a Z that turns into an S, which you might like to call a soft Z. Yes, we definitely devoice slightly at the ends versus flowers are. My Z is nice and strong because I'm linking to the next word. But I would aim to make a Z sound. You just don't have to necessarily hit the Z very hard. You don't have to say, I like flowers. You just don't want it to be, I like flowers. So practicing, I like flowers, flowers are, kind of getting both contexts where you're noticing and putting the Z on, it should be sufficient. And then lastly, the third question relating to the Z is, does the Z become soft S apply when it's linked to T, like sentence, my friends talk to me, my friends talk to me? Yes, again, I think because talk is voiceless, most people are not going to say my friends talk to me, my friends talk to me, my friends talk to me. Yeah, I definitely think that Z sound gets a little bit devoiced. Just be careful that you don't want my friends, you don't want the D to get devoiced or dropped off. So probably best to try to think Z, but not worry about how strong that Z is there. These are great questions. A lot of little details and technicalities when it comes to the Z at the end. For most beginners, learning which words have the Z and when to say the Z and really trying to put that on there is important. But in connected speech, making sure you mark the S or Z by saying an S or Z sound, and making sure your S, if it's a soft Z like friends are, or friends talk to me, you just don't want friends talk to me. You don't want a loud sibilant S. You want to have some voicing present. Okay, great questions. Let's wrap up for today. If you had a question and I didn't get to yours, please feel free to put that in the comments and I'll be checking in later. I wanted to just give you a couple of announcements. If you're here in the greater Seattle area, I have some 6-week group classes beginning tomorrow will be the Saturday class, and that will run for 6 weeks on Saturday mornings in Bellevue. There's also going to be a Tuesday morning class, and there's a little bit of space left in each class. So if that's something you've been thinking about, come check it out, give it a try. If you are not here in the Seattle area, which I know most of you are not, you can also do a 6-week course. I have an online 6-week course that walks you through the steps of improving your accent, and it's a really great starting point for checking out the Smart American Accent Training and trying out those same things that my group class will be doing. I'm going to give you the link for that class here in the comments, and you can find it on my courses page as well. It has a 2-week free trial, so why don't you give it a try and see, if you don't like online learning, it doesn't work for you, great. If you like it, try it out, it's free, no problem. I also have a number of other courses on there, a free mini course that you can work through the whole course and no cost. I have a Real Talk course, which is more for my advanced speakers, looking at linking and connected speech, teaching you the Real Talk technique, as well as courses specifically for Spanish speakers, for Indian English speakers, and some other courses that you can check out. So that's my recommendation for this week, is to explore those if you haven't already. And one quick question. Someone was asking me, are you saying I'm gonna instead of I'm going? I'm probably saying I'm gonna. That's very normal in casual speech in American English, I'm gonna. And I think I'm gonna, my G is not really strong either. So I'm not really saying I'm gonna. I'm probably saying I'm going to. I'm gonna have, I'm gonna. And I would definitely say in professional speech, you might want to try I'm going to or I'm going to. In casual speech, I'm gonna is perfectly acceptable. And let's see, we have one more question. Saeed has a question. He's subscribed to the 6-week course because he's been too busy to finish the challenge. And he wants to contact me for advice. Please do. Anyone who takes my online courses can email me, can get feedback and help. That's part of what I like to provide for all of my students, because you're working hard on your own. And sometimes you feel like, oh, I need a little feedback, or I don't quite understand something. Part of the course, you can ask questions right in the course, or you can email me or contact me. Go to speechmodification.com or use my email, Christine@speechmodification.com. I'm happy to answer and connect with you and support you in your practice and working on your own. So thank you for being a subscriber. Speaking of subscribing, if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, it's a great idea, because then my community page posts will show up on your homepage. You can check out what we're doing there, and you can use the little bell to get notified or to turn off notifications. If you don't want to get notifications from YouTube, you can select how much YouTube tells you about what I'm doing. Notifications are nice because it'll let you know when I've uploaded a new video or when a live class is. And we will be continuing to have our free Friday class at 12 o'clock West Coast time every Friday. So I hope you can join me for the next one. Next week, we'll talk about rewards, which is a great part of the SMART goals, and of course, take your questions about American English pronunciation. So thank you so much, everybody, for being a part of class and for the great questions today, and I hope to see you again next week. I'm Christine Dunbar from speechmodification.com. Remember, if you want to sound American, you can do it. speechmodification.com.